There's different types of helmets out on the market, but this particular helmet is one of the ones that most of the fire departments around here are getting nowadays. And so it's got a brim to keep from hot water from going down your neck. It's also insulated a little bit to help you and to keep anything that's fallen during the fire from hurting your head. Just like if you was a construction worker, you'd wear a hard hat. We wear fire helmets to protect us from that. It does protect from heat also. It's got a thin strap to keep it on your head because we're apt to take them off a lot. But us as firemen don't as much as the construction workers. It's also got a flap. Usually most of them's got a flap that'll go over. Even if you've got a hood on, you want to make sure your flap's over. You want to make sure your helmet's fitting good. If you've got the SCBA on like it's showing here, we want to make sure that that is fitting good over that. The reason being, we're going to be comfortable in this at the same time because we're going to be working. We're going to be, whether we're fighting a fire, whether we're rescue, or whether we're salvage or what, we're going to be protecting our head at all times. This particular slide that I downloaded didn't have, it's got goggles on it, but it didn't have them pointed out. So I've got it pointed out as the goggles because that's a good thing. If you don't have the SCBA on for some reason, if you're doing the salvage or if you're doing something, especially if you're doing rescue or EMS, you need the goggles. It's got them on there, but I did want to go over them, especially if we're doing extrication or EMS work, because that would keep any fluids or glass or anything from penetrating our eyes. We need to make sure that we have our shield down, even with our goggles on, because that's double protection. So wear our helmet, wear our shield. If you're not wearing the SCBA, wear the goggles to protect your eyes, because I want to go home with the same eyes in the same shape that I came to the call in. If you lose an eye, it's just that's bad business right there. It's got the hood lined out next, the Nomex hood. Most of us have those. We keep them in the pocket of the coat or what have you. We need to make sure that we put those on. Protect our neck, our ears, and this really helps us to keep from the heat and getting the burns on our neck and our ear portion. And it also works in tandem with the helmet to make sure that we're staying protected of all areas. The next, you see the face mask, which is part of the SCBA. If we're fighting fire anywhere on the fire line, we need to have our SCBA on. The face mask, of course, you can't have a beard. I believe it's still that you have to be clean shaven to have a face mask on, even though all SCBAs are positive pressure nowadays. They still suggest that, and make sure that it fits right. Make sure that you're breathing right. I have had guys to put them on. There's one sitting right here that put one on and couldn't breathe right. He could breathe in, but he couldn't exhale. The exhale valve had messed up on it. So make sure that you can take a breath in and put a breath out when you put that on and fit it to your head right. Make sure it's comfortable and it's ready to go. A few extra seconds of making sure this is comfortable, and we're going to get into more of that later. It's going to help you in the end. And when I say get into more, we're going to practice putting it on fast and right. The next item on it that I've got marked, it didn't have it marked, but I marked it because, it's a given, but it's a coat. We've got to have our coat on, which protects our upper body, the big part of our mass, our upper extremities, our arms, our chest, our back, and all that. It's going to keep us from the heat getting to us, from any of the smoke, hot steamy water, any of the hot coals or anything getting to us. It's going to protect the rest of our upper body. And then gloves is the next thing that's actually put on there. We've got to have our gloves on. A lot of trades, and I work in construction as an electrician, nobody wants to wear gloves, but most of our firefighters are good at wearing gloves, because it don't take you long getting close to that fire to know that you need your gloves on, and you need to be using them. That's going to help with the heat, the steam, the coals, and cuts, scrapes. It's going to eliminate those. So we'll make sure that there's different types of gloves that you can have on your turnout gear. And that's what I was talking about when we get into the rescue. You can wear the rescue type gloves if they're approved for extrication. And I really prefer those than the firefighter type gloves, because extrication you're having to get a little bit more tedious with what you're grabbing. So you can have an extra pair of gloves, and they didn't do it, but I should have done it, but I didn't even line it out. But you can see on the picture that it's got a flashlight on him there also, and that's a very important thing for us, because most of the time the smoke is too dense, or once we put the fire out, we can't see what's going on or where we're going, and we need to make sure there's no holes that we're going to be crawling over, or nothing, septic tanks that we might be falling in, or what have you. The next thing is pants, and it don't show the suspenders, but you have to have your pants and your suspenders. We don't wear belts on our gear. It's always been suspenders to keep our pants up at the right thing. And of course, there again, the pants is protecting our lower extremities from the heat, the fire, the coals, the cuts and scrapes. And most all your new turnout gear nowadays has the knee pads on them. That's a little extra material there, because we're crawling on our knees most of the time when we're either in rescue or firefighting when we enter the house. So it gets you a little extra protection for those. And then it goes to the boots, and you can have leather or rubber. I know most of the new ones that we've got here in the county are leather now, and but that's going to protect us from our feet, from the heat, the fire, the coals, the steamy water, or anything else that's out there. I have had people step on nails and stuff with them and it go through it, but that's a rare occasion. I think they are steel toed to help you if anything does fall down, but they're there to protect our feet. And we want to keep, and I want to talk about how we store these, and we want to keep them with the pants rolled down on the boots, with the suspenders laying right on top, where we can, if we get a call, we can grab the suspenders, step in, pull the suspenders up, pull the pants up. There is some buttons on the pants and a clip. We need to make sure that they're clipped and buttoned each time that we put them on, and our suspenders on. Don't leave them down. We want to properly don our PPE every time. And then our jacket, we usually hang them, and we're ready to put that on, and the helmet's above that, and put that on. SCBAs stay on the truck, normally in a rack, ready to just put your arms in and tighten them up, get your mask on, hook it up. Always have somebody with you when you're donning the SCBA, though, to make sure that it's on, because sometimes you'll turn it on and you're in a hurry. You think you're ready to fight fire and you're not. you think you turned it on, but you didn't turn it on enough, and you didn't get your air right. Let them check that. You also check your air, but let them double check that air. You need a buddy whenever you're doing your SCBA to do that. The hood needs to go on before the helmet. Sometimes when we're going to the fire, we'll just put them over our neck, and then when we get there, we'll put them over our head and have that ready. But the main thing is to wear it, and to wear it properly. I've got another slide here that shows the components again of everything. It has the rubber boots in it, and then it's got the gloves, and it's actually got a gear bag. I told you that we normally store them hanging up, but some people have them in their cars or vehicles, especially some of the district chiefs, battalion chiefs or whatnot might have it in theirs. Some of the EMS have theirs in bags or whatnot, but even when you store it in that bag, there's a certain way to store that to make sure that the pants are rolled down over the boots, suspenders are ready, the coat's folded in a fashion that you can get it out, get it on ready, and the helmet's usually in a side pocket or something, and the hood also. And then there's another pocket for the gloves, or you can keep your gloves in your coat pocket so that when you get your coat on, you can take them out. Now I did want to go over the SCBA components for just a second, because that's a vital part. I've read an article the other day where they even suggested now that the engineers, the operators of the engines, to use SCBA because of the carbon monoxide coming off of the truck. I know with some of the new emissions, it might not be as bad, but they were suggesting if you were on a fire scene, you needed to wear an SCBA. If you were working on a fire scene, to wear an SCBA. So here we've got the mask and the tank and the harness, the three parts of it. We'll get into this a little bit later with the hands-on. I want to show you how to take that apart, change out the tank, take the empty tank off, put the new tank on, and make sure that everything's ready. All the new SCBAs we've got in Wayne County now are MSA. They have the heads-up display in the mask where you can see how your oxygen or your air level is. And then they've got the personal pass device. That's another protective clothing that it didn't show in that, or we couldn't see it as well in that. And that's just a little device that's mounted on the SCBAs now, where we used to buy those extra, but they're mounted on the SCBAs where if you're still for so many seconds, it's going to put out an alarm to let everybody know that something's happened to you. You're down, you're not moving. If you are just standing still and it starts, there's a button to clear it and it starts the time over again. But that's another thing to save our lives. And every bit of this gear is here to save our lives. Now I will tell you, it's not there to keep you from getting burnt. You can get burnt with this gear on. I've seen it and I've had it happen. But it's there to protect and save our lives. Most of your PPE in all ranges, whether it's fire department or construction or hospital or EMT or whatever, paramedic, whatever you're doing, all this PPE is just to save your life, not to keep you from getting hurt. You can't, this is not, I'm Superman because I've got this personal protective clothing on. This is just to help me get through this. Is there any questions on the PPE?
I've got one on the face mask. You see, I have a mustache, and as long as I'm clean shaven around where the face piece fits, I'm okay, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I just want to clarify that, make sure.
That's a good question.
I want to make sure I didn't have to shave my mustache.
If you notice, all you full-time firefighters, when you see them, they most all got a mustache.
Yeah.
You know, and you can have it as long as it's not out to the end. You can't have a handlebar mustache to come down because we want to do a seal. Of course, if you're in construction, you do a seal, or in a plant, a manufacturing plant or TVA or wherever, you do a fit test on each one. We don't do that, but we do it when we first get them, and we like everybody to have their own mask on their, and some of the coats that we have actually have a mask pocket, or like the MSA comes with one that clips on the ring of the jacket. And so everybody has their own mask. They just go and get a different tank or pack, and most everybody gets the same tank. You know, we're creatures of habit anyway, so we're going to do that. But that's a very good question. I like that. Any on the other turn-up gear, we're going to call it, or personal protective clothing? Any questions on any of that?
One more I have is on the SCBA itself.
Mm-hmm.
What is the pressure run on those tanks?
We run 3,000 PSI. I think the new ones we bought are 4,500 PSI. So we've got both. Of course, they make a 6,000 PSI that's got a smaller tank.
Does that rate for as I can stay in, I can have air longer with a more pressure?
Yeah.
Okay.
3,000, generally they consider 30 minutes. 45 is, 100 is 45 minutes. You've got to really be dedicated to be able to get 30 minutes out of the 3,000 PSI. I've seen it done when I used to go up to the college, back when it was in Murfreesboro, when the Tennessee Fire College was in Murfreesboro. But the guy would be sitting under a shade tree with it on, and he'd walk around the place with it on, you know, and he had his breathing fixed just right. And it's really hard for us as firefighters when that adrenaline gets going to calm ourselves down to get a full 30 minutes out of it. But I've also seen people do that in that fire, get almost 30 minutes out of it. But yeah, when it has an alarm, when it gets down to where you've got about 5 minutes of air or 500 pounds of pressure, it's going to go off. That's time to get out. right then. You don't think about it, you tap your partner, you say, I'm out of air, and you both come out at the same time. And then get a new tank, or, they'll put another crew in to replace you. So, any other questions? I like those questions. Anybody? So in summary, firefighter personal protective clothing protects us from the dangers of firefighting, and then using all of the personal protective equipment correctly saves lives. I want that all and correctly to be the two key words that we take away from our personal protective clothing today. That we've got to wear it all and we've got to wear it correctly. And we'll go through that after this of how to wear it correctly and how to don it quickly but correctly. It don't matter if we put it on quickly and not have it right. We've got to have all of our buttons right, all of our snaps right, our hood on, our face mask on good. We make sure we've got a seal. We'll go through that. And then our helmet over that, and make sure the chin strap's over that. We don't want it falling off and then something falling on our head. So we've got to correctly wear all of the equipment that we're provided. It's for our benefits. It's to protect us so that we can help others through whatever they might be going through at this time. And then we want to make sure, as I've said before, and this is in summary, of storing our protective firefighting clothing correctly so that we can get to it quickly and don it correctly. And then of course we want to make sure that we dry it out and clean it every so often. I don't remember right off my head because this wasn't on it, but we need to make sure that we keep it clean and ready for us at each time. Is any other questions on the summary of firefighter clothing? Protective clothing, or how it protects us and how we need to wear it?
What is roughly the cost to assemble one ensemble?
Of one ensemble?
Yeah, just like the SCBA,
with the SCBA and all, just the gear's $5,000. The SCBA is 8 total. I've got my director over here filming for me. He said it would be 8 total for the SCBA and all. So I fit one person.
Yeah, that's a
One
lot of
person. In Wayne County, that's a lot of money.
money.
A lot of money. We don't have a very large budget. So we get grants. It's how we've got the last year in SCBA's that we've gotten. And of course, everything's going up. It just goes up. But they're getting better. The gear's getting lighter and still protected is good. And that helps us out, gets us longer on the fire scene. Anybody else? Well, that concludes today's classroom portion of our training. We'll go down and put on the gear, make sure that we've got it all correctly. I've got a check-off list for each one of you, and then I've got a test. Thank y'all.